Tonight on KGW News, where police chased a bear out of town after a rare supermarket sighting. Plus,
today's decision was heartbreaking.
What a Supreme Court ruling allowing states to ban transgender students from girls' sports means for local athletes. Then, new at 11, how a suspected car thief tried to hide out in Home Depot and how police convinced him to surrender.
And the vintage sports find worth $250,000.
And so that's kind of when I realized I think I have Wilt Chamberlain's jacket.
Let's start tonight in Wilsonville with a video that got all of our attention. A rare sighting, experts say, of a black bear roaming around town. I mean, not your typical Monday, right? People there saying they spotted it in a supermarket parking lot before deputies did what they could to shepherd it toward the river. Alma McCarty shows us how.
A black bear's nighttime stroll through Wilsonville.
I think it's uncommon, but not unusual.
Captured by police dash cam Monday night.
Yearling bears are leaving their mom. They're dispersing, kind of like figuring out the landscape for the first time.
And sometimes that means wandering into town, especially this time of year. ODFW wildlife biologist Peter Iacono explains.
It's this really interesting mosaic of like forested farmland and suburbia, and that creates all different types of habitat types. We've created these pathways in which they can kind of follow these green corridors and poke into a city.
Wilsonville deputies encouraging this bear to head back out of town, following it down Boone's Ferry Road towards the river around 10:45 p.m. It was also spotted in the nearby Fred Meyer parking lot earlier that evening. In a social media post, the department said the bear was likely checking the area for an easy snack, like unsecured trash or other food sources.
Don't leave any food outside. Don't feed pets outside. Bring in your bird feeders at night. Secure your garbage in your garage until garbage day. Clean your barbecues.
Experts say if you do encounter a bear, don't run, avoid eye contact, appear large by raising your arms, and make noise.
Seeing a bear doesn't mean it's dangerous. Just scaring it away is going to be your best bet. They're more scared of you than you are of them.
Now, worth mentioning that police in Canby spotted a different bear a little more than a month ago. That story had, unfortunately, a different ending when Canby police, quote, stopped the bear with lethal force while waiting on assistance from ODFW.
Just a reminder, the best thing you can do is leave it alone. Thanks, Alma. Appreciate it. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, people making minimum wage will see their pay hike starting tomorrow as the rates go up based on inflation. In the Portland Metro, it'll climb to $16.80 an hour. It's up some 35% from last year. The standard wage climbs to $15.55. The non-urban rate, that's mostly in Eastern Oregon, to $14.55. Something else going up, parking in some Portland neighborhoods always seems to go up, never down, right? And then those are the there are the pesky parking kitty fees. So here we go, up 20 cents in the downtown district. That includes the Pearl, Goose Hollow, and the South Waterfront and more. The transaction fee goes up 5 cents. I mean, nickel and diming, but you know what? It does add up. PBOT reminding us last year's hike was bigger. And while that was to fund transportation, this one is just to keep pace with inflation. And some great news in the Gorge, where the Lyle fire is now 60% contained and holding at some 230 acres. The fire sparked Sunday in Lyle, Washington, about 10 miles northwest of the Dalles, across the Columbia on the Washington side. Officials asking anyone with images showing the start or early stages of the fire, specifically between 1:40 and 1:55 p.m. Sunday, to please reach out. Investigators add they want to track down some hikers who may have been in the area at the time. Let's switch to a live look at the Rose City on this Tuesday because the holiday weekend is within reach. Okay, 3 days, but still, it's worth bringing up since I know a lot of you are trying to sort out your plans. Matt, from what I've seen, it sounds like the forecast really could not be better.
You know, I've been thinking about this, how we've had some pretty good luck on our holiday forecast the last couple holidays. Father's Day was good, Mother's Day was good, 4th of July is going to be good, Memorial Day weekend was also fantastic. So this makes us 4 for 4 basically, because it is going to be good, really good. Outside right now in Portland, it is still cloudy. It's clouded over again. Last hour we had still some breaks in the clouds, but not anymore. They've filled back in. Northwest winds 58 degrees, all fairly typical for a day like this. Out of the coast, Lincoln City 57 degrees and cloudy there too, as the marine layer stays good and thick. Now we topped out today at 67. That is below average by about 10 degrees. And tomorrow we get about the same, actually, about 67 or so, with clouds in the morning and then breaking up in the afternoon. Then we may add a couple degrees to that 67. Sunset at 9:03. So again, another great day on the way, but they get even better, David, because we go to sunshine and temperatures in the 80s. We'll lay all that out in a bit. Back to you.
Looking forward to that. Thanks, Matt. To a check on national headlines that impact all of us in 3 major rulings by justices at the U.S. Supreme Court. Let's run you through them. First, a key decision to uphold birthright citizenship, with the court knocking down President Trump's executive order that sought to restrict it. Second, the court also struck down Watergate-era limits on how much political party committees can spend in coordination with candidates. It's one to keep an eye on, since it could reshape campaign fundraising ahead of the midterms. And finally, the court also ruled it is constitutional for states to bar transgender athletes from playing on girls' sports teams. The high court said the ban, which could exist in some form in over 24 states already, are also legal under federal law. Now, bringing it back to the Northwest, this does not have an immediate impact in Oregon, where student athletes can participate in sports that match their gender identities, though those policies are being challenged by 3 athletes and the Education Department. Here's Basic Rights, Oregon.
This is an effort to say that trans students shouldn't be able to participate and create teamwork skills in their lives, shouldn't be able to play alongside other students, shouldn't participate in public life, and we deeply disagree with that.
Meanwhile, Washington voters are set to decide on a November ballot measure, one that would ban transgender girls from competing on girls' sports teams. Staying in Washington, a group is celebrating the Supreme Court's ruling on birthright citizenship. Here's the Northwest Immigration Rights Project, which had filed a lawsuit on behalf of 3 mothers-to-be who were worried about their children's futures.
And all are living here in the greater King County area, and are healthy kids, and are relieved now that they don't have this uncertainty, that they're not forced with this idea of family separation or having to return to countries they fled to because their children would not be permitted to remain here.
For his part, President Trump called on Congress to act, while others alluded to what would likely be required to make any change a constitutional amendment. To new video tonight of a suspected thief's bizarre escape attempt. What's going on here? Vancouver police releasing body cam footage from last week when they had a man cornered after he climbed on top of storage racks at a Vancouver hardware store. Officers say Dustin Silva stole a motorcycle, drove recklessly at more than 100 miles an hour, then ditched the bike, ran through the store, then tried to hide on the racks in the garden center. Okay. He requested police get him a, quote, ice cold soda and a bottle of water. Once he drank those, both of them, authorities say he climbed down and surrendered. Well, it turns out that arrest was part of a much larger operation spearheaded by Portland police. For the past 5 years, they've been working to track down stolen vehicles before they disappear. It's a pretty short window, and authorities say they're actually seeing results, with car thefts down, and their recovery rate in the last 9 months, they say, nearly 90%. Part of it a team effort on the ground and in the air.
Plane's able to take that elude, followed it all the way as it looped for about an hour and a half, and then it ended up getting off the bike in a Home Depot up in Vancouver, and then Vancouver police were able to apprehend that suspect.
Officers pushing a bit of common sense here, reminding drivers not to leave valuables in their vehicles and to keep their doors locked. Don't be a target. To a big day at PDX, with the port essentially waving pom-poms, saying it has officially completed the main terminal project that took more than a decade. It's been a long haul, right? The $2+ billion upgrade doubled the terminal's capacity, installed that 9-acre mass timber roof, improved earthquake safety, and added more local shops and restaurants. Still, thank goodness, with street pricing. Port officials say the project was finished on budget, though by our count, it all wrapped up a few months behind schedule. But who's counting, right? Next up, it's time for some work in the basement, or at least what feels like one, in the form of baggage claim upgrades.